All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this daily forecast for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be Thursday, July 16th, 2026, of course. And well, I want to apologize to start this video. I wasn't available yesterday. I wasn't able to do a forecast, but I am back now for this forecast. But anyways, it doesn't really matter because we didn't really get anything significant today. Mostly consolidations, and just the market being choppy, pretty much across all assets. So we didn't really miss anything. Now, I think tomorrow we can have our last interesting day of the week. I think Friday is probably going to be dead. I think Friday is mostly going to consolidate. We don't really have anything. But tomorrow, even though they're all orange folders, I think that when you take all of these into account, plus a speech from President Trump, and you put all of them together, that should bring in some decent volatility. So I think that tomorrow should be the last interesting day of the week for trading. Now, if we look at the chart on the dollar here, um, so the market has been random when it comes to the dollar. It's been doing random moves. So I wasn't there yesterday for the forecast, but technically, when I looked at the market, I said, yeah, the bias for today is bullish with this candle that we got there, but then the market completely did the opposite. So that doesn't make any sense at all. Um, so I would be careful here on the dollar, to be honest. I don't like what I'm seeing, but there's still one thing that can happen is that we are just simply sweeping the rejection low from that weekly fair value gap. That's very possible. And from there, we can start going higher. So, right now, I think it's about seeing can we, well, first of all, in 2 hours, we're probably going to create this fair value gap right here, this 4 hour fair value gap going lower. Now, once this is created, can we disrespect it to continue higher? Because we want to see higher prices here on the dollar. We're not ready for some lower prices yet. Lower prices are going to come when we reach this high right here, which is like I think it's a monthly fair value gap. So once we sting inside this monthly fair value gap, then after that it's just the dollar is going to lose a lot of value for the next years and even decades to come. Well, we all know that's going to happen with fiat currency eventually. Um, but yeah, I think the dollar is going to happen much earlier than what we think. Now, so like I was saying here on the dollar for tomorrow, be careful. Honestly, be very careful because it doesn't really make sense right now. The only thing that would make sense to me is if we start sweeping the rejection low right there. If we don't have evidence that we want to continue higher from this yellow line right here, then don't look at the dollar tomorrow. Let's take a look at the majors quickly. So yeah, AU, not interesting. No, that is not interesting anymore. I just don't see the case where we start going lower here, so that's not interesting. NU, same thing, not great. USD Canadian, nope. We're supposed to be going higher here, not lower. So that doesn't really make sense. It sucks for USD Canadian, but no, that's not interesting. And then USD CHF also doing random things. But USD CHF did reach this high, so that's good. That's the probably the only pair that actually delivered this week. Um, so yeah, that's not interesting anymore. Well, there's nothing on the majors. Honestly, the dollar, specific, not other assets, but the dollar itself has been doing the complete opposite of what we wanted to do, and that puts it into low probability conditions. And so I wouldn't trade any of the majors for the remainder of the week. Now, if we look at the metals, gold, consolidation today didn't really move anywhere. Very boring day, to be honest. So right now on gold, it's about getting. We want to wait for some kind of some kind of how can I say this? Well, evidence that price wants to move in one direction. I think at the moment, if I'm being objective, I think that we can actually see higher prices tomorrow on the dollar. If we look at this Fibonacci here, I wouldn't be surprised if gold starts going higher tomorrow, all the way to like the golden level, to then have a real move lower. We'll have to wait and see. But if I'm being objective right now, I'm seeing higher prices on the dollar. Even though it's not too clear, we've been stuck in a massive consolidation here. Nothing significant, no fair value gaps, nothing. So again, I would say take a step back potentially tomorrow on gold, unless we get like beautiful evidence that price wants to move somewhere. But for now, it's just not clear. Be careful. Then after that, we have silver, also not really going anywhere. Not too clear, but if you look at the wick that we have at the bottom here, it does look mostly bullish in some way. Then when you look at the 4 hour for these, this is a very ugly day today. Massive consolidation. I think also on silver we can just get some higher prices tomorrow, at least until we reach the golden level or something like that. Maybe even that daily fair value gap that's up here, and then we can get some actual moves lower. So be careful. Be careful tomorrow on the metals. Now, moving on to crude oil. Crude oil, also a consolidation today. Nothing significant happened, but we did create, well, that was yesterday actually. I wasn't there for the forecast, but we did create this daily fair value gap right here, which is great. That's what we wanted to see. That's overlapping with the fair value area. This is beautiful in my opinion. We're definitely going to see some higher oil prices for sure. But right now, for tomorrow, I think lower prices on crude oil, at least until we reach back inside this daily fair value gap. Lower prices, definitely, on crude oil. Then, Bitcoin. What's been happening here? Okay. So, Bitcoin has been terrible, absolutely terrible lately. In the past, like 2 weeks, this price action makes no sense at all. So honestly, I don't know what to tell you here on Bitcoin. I can't reach a clear conclusion. I can't reach a clear bias. It's so ugly price action. Like, so we haven't reached, one thing that I can start with is that we haven't reached this high. Okay. Now we haven't created this daily fair value gap either. So this is not clear, guys. I really don't know what to say here on Bitcoin. I think, yeah, we can get some higher prices, just like on gold and silver, potentially from this 4 hour fair value gap right here. That's what would make the most sense to me right now. But again, not too clear. Bitcoin, either higher prices tomorrow or just another massive consolidation. We have to be careful with that. But just keep in mind that Bitcoin is still in a bear market. We're not done with that bear market, by the way. We still have Bitcoin will reach all the way down to like 48K. So we still have some room to run. But I think that in the meantime, we can probably go higher, reach the zero point 0.5 level, and then start going lower like this. It's going to take a while. I think it's going to be after this summer. Well, like in September, for example. Now, the indices, what happened? Okay, so yeah, two consolidations. Well, consolidating trends because it did go higher on the S&P right here. Not in the best way, but it did go higher. So, yeah, I think I have to be objective again. Wow. I'm glad I wasn't there yesterday because this move is terrible. Absolutely terrible price action here. Um, even today, to be honest, like even today is horrible. Well, yeah, on the S&P here, I would say higher prices tomorrow until we reach this high. Then we'll have to take a step back and reassess everything. But yeah, it's just not clear. It's either higher prices or a consolidation. Same thing then on Bitcoin. All right. And now if we look at Nasdaq right here, Nasdaq massive consolidation today. It's not like the S&P at all. We just got uh it hasn't been moving anywhere. But again, it's the summer. I'm not very surprised by this. Usually during the summer, the indices tend to consolidate, and then once we get to the end of August, beginning of September, then it actually starts moving. So, well, I honestly have nothing to say here. I have nothing to say here. I think tomorrow is just going to be yet another consolidation or higher prices if the S&P goes higher. I don't know. Guys, it's like please don't throw tomatoes at me because it's hard to judge price action that looks like this. Like come on, like this is terrible. It's absolutely a horrible price action. So I can't give you a clear bias, okay? I'm trying my best here, but I think again tomorrow is just going to be consolidations across the indices. And now we can take a look at our crosses. So starting with CHF here, yeah, that is completely invalidated. This is not interesting anymore. We were expecting lower prices 2 days ago from this 4 hour fair value gap, and then price completely reversed, so that's not interesting. Canadian dollar. Oh, damn. I missed this. Okay, damn. That's really unfortunate though. Oh no. Because that was beautiful. This setup here was just well, I think it's too late now, guys, but GBP Canadian really delivered beautifully from the fair value area. Look at the accuracy on this trade. Like just beautiful staying inside the fair value area and then it just skyrockets. That's beautiful. Damn, now I feel bad that I missed this one. All right. Well, that's how it is. Sometimes you miss some trades. But if you guys want to take a very short-term trade, potentially from this 4 hour fair value up, we can reach the target that's up here. But I don't know if the RR is worth it, so make your own research and make sure that it works with your trading plan. But for me, this is too late now. I can't catch this very short-term move, but I'm sure that the scalper could potentially catch this very, very short-term move here on GBP Canadian. All right, so now let's move on to GBP New Zealand dollar right here. Uh, this is not interesting anymore. Well, I don't know, it's really hard to tell, but because if you take, let's say, okay, let's use the Fibonacci on this. I rarely do that, but if you take this fib of this entire range right here on the daily time frame, this does look good to continue higher, right? Remember, we wanted to see higher prices here. Um, Today we completely failed to create this bearish fair value gap. So that's a very strong bullish sign. Now the next fair value gap we have is up here on the 4 hour. We have a 4 hour fair value gap. This guys, GBP New Zealand dollar. Again, not financial advice, but that looks good. Because I still think Like, look how close, if you look on the weekly time frame, look how close we came to reaching this target. We came this close and then we completely reversed. And now I think that, we are right on the zero point 0.5 level of this range right here, like I showed you earlier. And now we can continue higher and finally reach this high. I think this is possible. It's doable. So yeah, I think from this 4 hour fair value gap, higher prices until we reach this high. That does look interesting for sure. And then GBP Australian dollar, that's very similar. We are rejecting from the weekly fair value gap, which is great. Boom. Yeah, completely failed to create that bearish fair value gap. And then on the 4 hour, we have a 4 hour fair value gap. So this is also very interesting. From this 4 hour fair value gap, can we continue higher? I think yes, we can. The only problem is that the RR might be a little bit less worth it on GBP Australian dollar. I think GBP New Zealand dollar would be my favorite right here. But yeah, that's definitely interesting on the crosses. Well, we have three interesting crosses. Well, no, GBP Canadian, to me it's too late, but the two other ones, I think we can still catch a move before the end of the week. So that's interesting. Now, on the majors, we have nothing. The dollar, just expect random things tomorrow. Expect the market to completely reverse out of nowhere, to be choppy, to be consolidating. That's probably what we're going to see tomorrow on the dollar. Same thing on the metals, to be honest. Probably a consolidation as well. Maybe some higher prices, but it's not going to be too clear. Crude oil, same thing. We're also expecting consolidation, maybe some lower prices. Same thing on Bitcoin, not very clear. And then the indices also, it's impossible to give. Literally, all my biases for tomorrow are literally 50 bullish, or well, no, not 50-50, but they're like 60 bullish and 40 bearish. It's really, really not clear at all. And I'm literally forcing ideas here when I'm saying, oh, gold and silver should go higher tomorrow. I'm literally forcing something because there is just no bias to be reached when the chart looks something like this, okay? So that's it for today's forecast. I'm sorry, I know it was a little bit long, but that's because I wasn't there yesterday. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for Thursday for tomorrow, and then I'll be back tomorrow for another forecast for the end of the week for Friday, and we'll see if we can get some interesting moves before the end of the week. So that's it, guys. Thank you for listening, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.